And we start from a news that was exclusively reported here on the channel almost 1 week ago. It was Friday last week. I told you, yes, Rodgers is going to Chelsea, but as part of the conversation, Garnacho could go to Aston Villa. And now the Aston Villa-Garnacho deal is done, completed, and it's a here we go. My understanding, and it's an important point, let's enter into all the details of this story. Loan with an obligation to buy, salary covered by Aston Villa. Chelsea sources believe that the obligation to buy is very easy, extremely easy, almost a guaranteed signing of Alejandro Garnacho for Aston Villa in 2027. So that's an important condition, that's an important point. There is almost guaranteed obligation to buy. So Garnacho is expected to be a Villa player by 2027. The contract he signs now with Aston Villa, with this potential but almost guaranteed move to Aston Villa from 2027, is valid for 4 years. And then the role of Unai Emery, because Garnacho today was in Birmingham, he met with Unai Emery, giving the final green light to the deal. But my understanding is that in the last, let's say, 2-3 days, Unai did an incredible job. Because the initial idea of Alejandro Garnacho was not to reject Aston Villa. The idea of Alejandro Garnacho was to leave England and try a different chapter, maybe Italy, maybe Spain. He was in negotiations with Roma, but then Unai Emery changed the story. Emery spoke to Garnacho, Emery wanted Garnacho, Emery believes that Garnacho can do fantastic at Aston Villa, and so this was the driving factor to get the deal done. And so Alejandro Garnacho to Aston Villa is a here we go, and the two clubs remain in contact also about Nicolas Jackson, who is a potential target for Villa. Let's see if Chelsea want to give the green light or not. I also wanted to discuss just quickly more on Chelsea, because it's true, as reported by the English media in the last 24-48 hours, Alex Scott is a player that Chelsea approached. So Chelsea tried to understand the situation about Alex Scott, but Bournemouth don't want to sell the player. So at the moment, it's still closed doors, but Chelsea tried for Alex Scott. And Chelsea are still looking at doing something important in midfield. So Chelsea next bomb after Morgan Rodgers could be a new midfielder. Apart from the centre-back situation, we know about Lacroix, apart from what they're exploring for several positions, the midfield is something we should not underestimate. So also in that position, Chelsea will be busy. Then, talking about the here we goes of the day, guys, just quickly, Ibrahim Abba, after he didn't pass the medical at Strasbourg, so same Chelsea group, Blue Co, the deal was done, but he didn't pass the medical. Sporting today signed the boy from Famalicão, medical passed, 20 million euros, sell-on fee, and here we go. So Ibrahim Abba goes to Sporting, and Ousmane Diomande is expected to join Nottingham Forest. It's not done yet, but it's getting closer. Then, important to mention some things about Real Madrid before we jump into wingers. On Real Madrid, guys, let me tell you, first of all, today, new rumors on Aurélien Tchouaméni and Manchester United. United still trying, United want to make it happen, United want Tchouaméni. Guys, I told you, first of all, several times in May, in April, in June, that Tchouaméni is considered internally at Man United as the dream midfielder, the perfect midfielder, in terms of leadership, being an elite player, international, defensive midfielder, the perfect next one after Casemiro. But Casemiro today signed at Inter Miami. It's official. It was an exclusive story from March. But on Tchouaméni, guys, my understanding is that he already signed the new contract with Real Madrid. So everything is done. The new contract is signed. He's a really important player for Jose Mourinho. Mourinho was pushing to keep Tchouaméni. So the understanding is that Tchouaméni is staying at Real Madrid and signing a new contract. That's the clear feeling around Aurélien Tchouaméni. And then after Tchouaméni, we have more to say also on more players at Real Madrid, because we clarified that situation, but it's also important to mention, first of all, the situation of Eduardo Camavinga. Many questions on Camavinga for Chelsea, what happened with Manchester United and all the rest. Guys, what happened is the following. Manchester United had conversations with the agents of Camavinga to understand the situation of the player, and they did the same also with Manu Koné a few days, weeks ago. So Man United are still looking for a defensive midfielder. But as I always told you on Camavinga, the only way to get Camavinga, whether it's Man United or any other club, is to get a green light from the player. And at the moment, the message coming from Camavinga, and it's the same May, June, July, is that Camavinga wants to work under Jose Mourinho and then try to stay at Real Madrid, try to revive his career at Real Madrid. So Camavinga doesn't want to leave Real Madrid. Camavinga wants to stay. Then, if from now to the end of the window, at some point, Real Madrid will talk to Camavinga, Mourinho will talk to Camavinga, maybe Camavinga will talk to them, we will see, I don't know. If at some point something changes and Camavinga opens doors to an exit, for sure Premier League is a very likely destination. But at the moment, the desire of Camavinga remains to stay at Real Madrid. Camavinga wants to continue at Real Madrid and wants to play for Real Madrid next season. Then, again, we will see what happens from now to the end of the summer. At the moment, this is the position, so we have to wait and see what's gonna happen. Then also many questions on Gonzalo Garcia. It's true that Fulham have an interest. It's not a new interest also because Arbeloa knows the player so well and appreciates the player. Remember that Arbeloa in January decided for Gonzalo Garcia to stay. He had many proposals from Germany, from Italy, from Spain, from England. Arbeloa said the player is staying here, Endrick is going on loan. So this is the level of trust Arbeloa has for Gonzalo Garcia. But the position of Real Madrid at the moment is that they are aware of Fulham being interested, but there are at least 7-8 more clubs interested in Gonzalo Garcia. So there are so many clubs keen on the player, but Real Madrid at the moment want to let Gonzalo Garcia work with Jose Mourinho, have the pre-season with Jose Mourinho, and then decide what to do. At the moment there is still no green light from Real Madrid for the exit of Gonzalo Garcia, while there is, as I told you yesterday, for example, a green light for the exit of Mastantuono, only on loan, and then for the situation also of Raúl Asensio. Then guys, talking about wingers as well, I wanted to clarify something more on several situations. The first one, Crescencio Summerville to Al Hilal, the deal is agreed, the player said yes to Al Hilal, and it's a here we go. The transfer is going to be worth £55 million plus 10 in add-ons for West Ham, and so Crescencio Summerville moving to the Saudi Pro League, moving to Al Hilal. Then, many questions on two more cases, Magnus Akaliush and Jan Diomande with Red Bull Leipzig. So, for Magnus Akliush, guys, I'm aware of many questions about Liverpool, but at the moment, guys, on Akliush, I maintain my information. Akliush is in negotiations with Paris Saint-Germain, there is an agreement on personal terms, and there is a negotiation underway between Paris Saint-Germain and Monaco. So talks are ongoing for Akliush to Paris Saint-Germain. Then, if there is going to be any hijack, as it happened, for example, for Morgan Rogers, who had to go to Arsenal and end up at Chelsea, I will let you know. But at the moment, the feeling is still that Paris Saint-Germain are leading the race for Magnus Akliush. Should anything change, I will let you know, as I will let you know on Barcola. Because on Barcola, I maintain my position. Remember what I keep telling you about Barcola and Liverpool. And then, guys, on Yan Diomande, Paris Saint-Germain are aware of more clubs trying to enter the deal. I told you last week about Arsenal calling. I told you that there is interest from several clubs trying to understand, is the deal closed? Is there a chance to enter the move? So this is why Paris Saint-Germain are aware of the situation, but PSG remain in negotiations with Leipzig. PSG are not leaving the track. PSG remain in talks with Yan Diomande, with Leipzig for Yan Diomande. So that remains the case. Should anything change, I will let you know. Guys, as always, remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and see you soon.